In this episode, I see a tractor, watch some fishes, and guys, check this out, I found some cows. And in other news, they've labeled the hill as cows. All right, good morning from possibly the best guest house I've ever stayed at. Super clean, great staff, everything you could want. Come stay here, everybody. This is wonderful. And in the winter, they do something amazing, and hopefully I'll be back and get to see it. Today, we are going to head to a campsite that's not too far away at a lake, and hopefully camp there for a day or two. I'm going to head back to this crummy school area that I stayed at briefly, or for 3 days actually, 3 miserable days. There's something right next to it that somebody there told me I needed to check out, and I didn't do it the day I left because it was raining. So we're going to go check that out, and then kind of just have kind of a leisurely day and get my way down to the campsite. That hopefully I'll have a place to stay at the campsite because I haven't booked ahead or anything, but I think it'll be okay. It's usually fine, but look at the weather today. Dear Lordy, it is beautiful out. This is where I'm gonna be for a few minutes, just exploring. Again, somebody gave me a tip here, and it's a shrine, and it supposedly got something cool going on. This is one of the most beautiful shrine areas I've ever seen. It's based around a spring that is coming up out of the ground, and not a hot spring, but a cold spring. It's famous because apparently the water is really delicious. And I have to admit, I've tasted it a little bit because the people who run hotels around this area will come with these big jugs and fill the water and take it back to the hotels and use it and give it to their guests. So I had a little cup of it like this, but it wasn't straight from the others. So what I've done is brought a cup and emptied out the water that came in the cup. And I'm gonna hit this up and see how it tastes. But the entire environment is stunning looking. It sounds amazing. It's very peaceful. It's very cool. It's very green. It's very, very nature-esque. And they do have a little shrine that they have built and placed at the top of the hill. And it is fine, but the main draw clearly is to come and get the water and be in the environment that you're in. When I got here, I talked to a girl who is from Kobe, but she lives in Hokkaido for a couple years, and her and her boyfriend are saving up money to travel around the world. So we talk a little bit about like places that she should go, and she was like, where should I go? And you know what I always say to this, and I'm gonna answer that here because people do ask this all the time, like where have we been that I would recommend going that people usually don't go, is like the thing. I don't wanna be like, well, go to Italy. Like, of course everybody knows Italy is amazing. Go to Oman, and that's what I told her. She was like, Oman? She had to get a map out to figure out even where it was, right? I was like, you gotta go to Oman. But anyways, let's try some water. Way off track here. Yeah, it's pretty cold. Like it feels refrigerated levels of cold. And people always say like, oh, the water is like tastes this way or that way. It tastes maybe a little tiny bit metally, a little. Like minerals are in it. And the guy that turned me on this place was like, you gotta go there, the water tastes sweet. But I don't know if I taste sweet. I mean, it's hella fresh. And it definitely has a flavor that you don't get from like bottled water or whatever, and it's not a bad flavor. But I just think that like water sort of has a ceiling at how delicious it can be. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, you can't have a glass of water like that's a 10. Like I don't live in that world. Like I like water, but it's like, okay, like a 6 is as good as it gets. It can get really bad if it's horrible, obviously, but like there's a ceiling, and this is like, I guess it's at the ceiling, it's fine. It's just, I think the experience is cooler than anything else, though. Just like drinking this water, hoping it's safe in the forest, talking to the cool girl, etc. I was thinking about this. I've told a couple of people, like, hey, I saw a bear. Like, I saw a bear. And, like, you can tell the people who are from Hokkaido because they're just like, yeah. But if, if you tell somebody and they're not from Hokkaido, you're like, you saw a bear? Like, this girl has lived here for a couple of years. She's like, yeah, you saw a bear. Yeah, okay. But I told a guy earlier, like, I saw a bear. And he was, like, from Chiba. And he was like, you saw a bear? Where? Show me on the map. How'd you find it? It's really funny how different the reactions from the people who are considered like local from the area and the people who are traveling are. Well, a bunch of city slickers, y'all. Alright, I hit up this Seiko Mato. I wanted to go get something from like a morning set place, but dude, there's just like nothing like that around here. You gotta drive quite a ways away and basically go back to a place I already ate a morning set at, which was great, but it's a bit of a hike from where I'm at this point. I am headed south today to a large lake that I stayed around the area of years ago when I was hitchhiking. And it was very typhoony that time. And I didn't get a chance to really explore the area, only like a day or two, even though I was there for like a week and a half. So I'm gonna go over there. It's not that far from here, and that's where I'm gonna camp tonight. On the way there, I got a tip to hit up a waterfall. So we'll go hit a waterfall first because we've got a lot of time today to just kind of enjoy the quite literally absolutely perfect weather. This looks like an old local one-off convenience store that no longer functions. And they've done a good job there. Family shop. All right, that seems fine. Mato Ota. I got it. Let's check out their other sign. Oh, hamburgers. Somebody didn't check the spelling on the other sign. I was filming that video, that family shop. And I saw this thing over here. I was like, yo, that looks like a goat fighting pen. That's where my brain went. It's just a dog run. This is a place you can take your dog or run around. But because we were in Okinawa and we saw that goat fighting pen, like now I'm like, okay, it's like a circular thing. Yeah, that's where you put your goats to rumble. I thought you were gonna give me the goats. I don't know if I've ever noticed this before, but this is a fire hydrant. And you can see that they have built the pole so that they can spin the wrench around with the pole. It's like got like the got the hoop, so like woo, and they can still have a nice tall fire hydrant sign. At this waterfall, there's a sign and they've written out in English, and it explains that in the summer you can see some cheery salmon jump over the waterfall. Somebody has tried to correct them. I don't know how this person knows though. I mean, they might be happy salmon. I was turned on to this waterfall by the guest house owner. And I'm really happy he did turn me on to it. He didn't mention that there were going to be salmon jumping up out of the water into the waterfall. Apparently these salmon live in the ocean or near the ocean during the winter, and they come up here during the summer. There's like a lot of them jumping up into the water. Apparently like 3,000 of them can migrate up here, but just today there's a handful or more that are just consistently jumping over and over and over up against the waterfall. I'm not sure where they think they're going because I don't think any of them are going to get all the way to the top, but I don't know, maybe. I don't really know what their goal is. Maybe there's food in there or something, or maybe they just like to jump, but I've never seen that before. That's pretty amazing. There are signs everywhere, of course, that are like, yo, there are bears here, because bears are like, I mean, salmon and bears, that's like a thing, right? Here's the beware of bear sign. And here's the no fishing sign. Makes me wonder if the bears put the sign up so we wouldn't steal their fish. I talked to another person while I was here watching some fish, and he said I need to go see something called Kami no Koike, which is like the small pond of God. So, I mean, how can you pass up a name like that? It's about 20 minutes away and it's in our direction, so I put it on my map and let's go. Hi, konnichiwa. 気をつけて. So the guy that told me to come here, that is who I just saw. He just had to wait for him to pass. He said it was good. So hopefully it's good. He also seemed to indicate with a glance that my bike would be okay on these roads because he's on like a more off-roady style adventure bike and I am on a Scooty Puff Jr. I made it to Kami no Ike, the small pond of God, and I think I might know why God is involved. Are you seeing the color of this water? What is this? Turns out this is another freshwater spring and the water is 8 degrees Celsius and it's just fed constantly all year and there's trout and stuff that live inside of it. But the color of it is just nuts. It's so blue. Like it's so incredibly blue. The handy dandy sign here explains that this is actually not small lake of the gods. It's that it is the child of the god lake. Apparently Mashu, I think is the name of it, is a larger lake that's near here, was believed to be the feeding source of this. I'm not clear if it actually is the feeding source of it, but regardless, this is like the child of that lake, which in Ainu's language is called the Lake of God or the God Lake. Other things of note that are interesting: the fish jump out of the water, and also the trees don't rot in the water. And I think the reason is because the temperature is low enough and the water is moving enough that the bacteria can't grow to kill the trees. So there's these dead trees that don't rot that are just sitting in the little pond. You can see very clearly the spraying water coming up and disrupting the sand and dirt at the bottom of the pond too, just because it's so ridiculously clear. And the blue gives it such contrast and make it easy to make out what's going on in the actual water. Makes it easy to find fish and see them. It's all very, very magical looking. Today has been pretty amazing. Like there's all these little roadside stops that are actually like quite impressive. Fish jumping up waterfalls, little blue things with fish jumping out of those. It's like a jumpy fish day, but yeah, it's great, man. This is a good find. The moral of the story, of course, being just talk to other people. It's really easy. Just look at their license plate and ask them, oh, so you're from blah, blah, blah. And then you get turned on to places like this. There are a lot of different ways that people are traveling up here on motorbike, but this is a pretty common way. It's a fairly small motorcycle, and look at the amount of bags that are packed on the back and how small the area for the rider is. I mean, Japanese people can be, smaller than me, of course, but it's still pretty scrunched. And that's a lot of gear. And what ends up happening is that everything gets backed up so high that the bike becomes unstable. This morning I had to help a dude because he was trying to maneuver his Harley that had a ton of stuff stacked up on it. He's trying to back it up and stuff, and he's not tall enough to have the center of gravity to counteract all the weight from the bags that are up so high. And his bike was kind of heavy. It wasn't like a huge bike, but it's just wobbly for them. Like it's just, the physics don't work. And then I keep noticing that people here park in places. This isn't an example, this gotta be fine, but they park in places where they're not gonna be able to get out easily, and then they end up like almost dropping their bike. But like I had to run over and help this guy push his bike back up. It was almost on the ground, and then struggle to get the kickstand down. Like, it was a mess, man. But that's what I love so much about Scooty Puff. Like, aside from the fact that I am very tall and I have long legs and long arms, and that helps me a lot of the weight that my packing has done is low. Like, my bags are low. A lot of the stuff that has a lot of weight to it is inside here, which is then low. And the only thing that's got any weight to the top is this, which has got some weight, but it's not the heaviest stuff. All the heaviest stuff I've like managed to be able to pack low. So Scooty is nimble. Even when I have to maneuver Scooty around with my legs and stuff, it's not a big deal at all. I just love Scooty Puff. That's really what I'm saying. I scooted about 10 minutes from the child of the god to the God Lake. And there's a little cabin here and they're selling stuff inside. One of the things they're selling is alcohol made with the water that comes out of the child of the god pond that I was just at. So apparently, I kind of got the impression you couldn't drink that water directly like you could at the one that I went to this morning, but you could probably process the water or whatever, clean it up, filter it, etc., make it alcoholable. It is, by the way, a little cold. Scooty says it's 20. but there's no sun. There's a very slight sprinkle every once in a while, like nothing that you even have to worry about. It dries with the wind almost instantaneously. But cutting through the wind, it's a little it's a little chilly. It's probably the coldest day I've had the whole time I've been up here in Hokkaido. Feels good. I wouldn't want it to be dramatically colder with the clothing that I have, but for a little bit of refreshment instead of the heat, I'll take this over the heat any day. So let's check out this lake. Like I said earlier, I stayed in this area for a while when there was typhooning happening when I was hitchhiking. I don't think I got to come to this lake. I think access to it was too tricky without a car, and I could never find somebody that was coming here to hit me up with a ride. So I think I haven't been here. It's kind of got a Crater Lake vibe. Looks like maybe there's the island in the middle. I'll have to look at a map to see if that's accurate, but looks nice now. And there is another lake that's even bigger that's near here. That's where I plan on camping. And that lake I did go to. I had a chance to make it there, but this was uncharted territory until just now. Turns out it is not a crater lake type thing with an island in the middle. It is a mountain next to a lake, which I guess possibly could be a crater. Signage to the rescue. It is a caldera. So this is an old volcano, I guess, that at some point exploded and is now left with a beautiful lake. Probably don't have the greatest light for this today, but apparently it's famous for the color of blue that the water can be. Right now, it just kind of looks a little gray. Doesn't have a whole lot of color because not a lot of sun, but it's still kind of a cool view. I'm not really sure what this structure is. Feels like a tunnel, but it's not going under anything. Is it a snow thing maybe, or a wind thing? What am I inside of? I can see up, but I'm completely enclosed. Anyways, I have done the thing I usually do and not eaten, and it's now 1:24, and I'm like maybe 45 minutes away from a little town. So I'm headed down to that little town. I'm hoping I'm wrong about that 45 minutes and it's closer, but I don't have cell signal to find out. And offline maps with Google apparently doesn't do what it says, so I can't track where I'm at. So anyway, I'm gonna go and hope I can find something to eat that's not convenience store food. I'll be completely real, I'm getting kind of tired of convenience store food, but sometimes that's all there is, or that's what makes practical sense, or out in these small towns, that's the only thing that's open. Bustling down some of these impossibly straight roads where the speed limit seems like it's just go as fast as you can. It's like the Autobahn of Hokkaido. And I went through another one of those tunnels, and this one was labeled snow shelter. So for some reason, they've decided in those specific areas that the road needs to be covered for snow sheltering purposes. And they've gone to great length and great expense to install that thing. Nice cock. Found a place on Google Maps once I had signal, and I drove around the little town a bit, had a quick look, and ended up at this little place. It's kind of cool looking, looks very like European or like a pub or something like that. It's got like a German vibe maybe, and the inside of it looks the same as the outside. It's got this cool vibe on the inside as well, and it seems like a lot of locals come here and get their munch on. And I had the osusume, which is the recommended dish, and it was a pretty tasty hamburger. Came with a whole lot of other stuff, rice and soup and vegetables and the works. It was great. And while I was inside, it was rainy. So my timing was pretty good because I think hopefully we're done with the rain. And at this point I have about a 20-minute drive to get to where I plan on hopefully camping. And I'm assuming it's probably gotten wet there as well, unfortunately, but it won't be the end of the world. The weather forecast isn't looking wonderful for my camping. I was planning to camp at least a few days. We'll see how it goes to see how wet we get. And if it's miserable and cold, then maybe I'll just move on and come up with something else. Something that was kind of funny though, looking at restaurants in this area, I ended up finding a restaurant. It was like, you were here 7 years ago. I don't remember being there, but I remember being in this town, and I remember some of the things I drove past, but it was just cute to be like, oh, Google's like, you've been here 7 years ago. It's funny as that's going to expand too. Like eventually it's going to be like, you've been here 50 years ago. Well, I don't know if I have 50 years left, but anyways. Let's get on a slightly soggy scooty and make 20 minutes up the road. I just had a bit of an issue. It's not major, but it's a bummer. So the camera that I wear on my arm that I like the view of, I uses this arm mount, and the arm mount goes like on my arm like this, and then it has a Velcro strap that wraps around and Velcros onto itself. However, the Velcro strap is in bad shape. I just went to put it on and it ripped into two pieces. So this is the male part and that's the female part, or however you describe Velcro, and they're no longer connected. So I have no way of putting this camera on my arm anymore. So I guess we're just gonna be rolling with the GoPro for the time being, which is a bummer because I really prefer this camera. When you push the button on this camera, it instantly turns on. Boom, it's recording. The GoPro, man, you gotta fiddle with it sometimes, and like sometimes it doesn't turn on. You gotta unplug things and open the casing and take the battery out to reset it. It's always a pain in the ass. It's just not reliable. You touch this thing, it's on, bang, every single time. It's only 1080p where the GoPro is sort of 4K, but it really looks like crap 4K, so may as well be 1080p. They look about the same in quality, but I kind of like the way that this one is stabilized better. It just looks a little more natural with the motion and stuff on a motorbike. Those techie people out there might be like, well, just use this instead of that, the GoPro. But I'm a little worried about mounting this camera on the bike itself because the bike vibrates a lot, and this has an optical image stabilizer in it, and the GoPro is all this digital nonsense. And the optical one, that vibration could cause some problems like long term with how long the stabilizer inside this camera works. So on my body absorbs a lot of that shock. But if I'm going to have it mounted directly to the bike, I'd rather it be the GoPro because it doesn't have the optical part, which is like a physical thing that's balancing the lens as opposed to the GoPro's digital thing, right? And also if the GoPro broke, I wouldn't care. I hate it so much. It's such a piece of crap. Anyways, it's gonna be the thing we're gonna roll with for now until I can get to some place where I could buy another one of these armbands. I don't remember it being very expensive. However, around here, like I would assume I have to go maybe to Sapporo to get one, and I don't even know if I'm gonna go there. So like, I don't know what I'll do. Let me think about it. Maybe I could like bungee cord something on or something and bungee the cord to my arm. Let's make this even more hacky. Hey, welcome to the GoPro. It's all right, it's working okay. I talked some smack, but it's saving the day at the moment. You can see that this is a thermally active town because of the sewers and the gutters. There is steam coming up out of them, and there are onsens and foot baths and stuff that you can use here. And if I felt like I had more time, I might hit up one of the foot baths, but I think I'm going to use this hole in the weather to find my way to a campground. Looks like there's like literally nobody camping here. Maybe it's because of the weather. I'm not even really super clear where the campground is, so we'll figure that out, I guess. There's a couple of them here, so I don't know if I in one or the other or whatever, but all I know is one of them is supposed to have a shower. All right, I've checked in. This place is honestly a little on the expensive side, to be completely real. It's like 1,500 yen just to camp, and you got to bring your own stuff, and you got to still pay for your shower and like all that stuff, like laundry, all that stuff. Nothing is included. So the good news is this big building has got apparently decent showers inside according to the Google reviews, and also has got places to do laundry and stuff. I don't need to do that kind of thing, but there's a building, whatever. I can take a shower. That's really the important part. And literally, there's nobody else camping. Like, there's nobody here. And again, probably because of the weather. So he actually told me that if I wanted to, I could camp underneath the roof overhang. But I don't know if I really want to sleep on concrete. So I think I might just set up underneath a tree over there. But I'm just trying to see if there's any place that is like, I just don't want to be in low ground. Obviously, I don't want to be in a puddle. The tent is basically waterproof, so I'm not that worried in that regard. But what I'm worried about is like just in the morning, like if I have to pack up and leave, is it going to be a disaster or not? So In other news, I asked him if there's any convenience stores or supermarkets. He was like, there's a vending machine. And then the one thing that, okay, so I guess maybe, I don't know, this is kind of overpriced. I asked if they have like a microwave or like a water boiler or anything. He's like, no. So it's kind of like, I mean, like if you're going to pay 1,500 yen for a campsite, it's almost like you kind of want to have a little more amenity, you know, but I have access to a shower I have to continue to pay for. That's where we land. And maybe I'm a sucker. I'm taking about a 25-30 minute drive to get to a convenience store so I can load up on provisions so I don't die tonight. And I pulled up to this point and I was like, I stood there and tried to get a ride for quite a while, I recall. And it had been sort of a desperate situation because of this road I'm about to drive down. I had ended up walking all the way down this road that is like a 20-minute drive. And I didn't really know how far it was at the time because I didn't have internet in my pocket. I didn't have a phone with me. So I just kind of looked at a map and went, it's probably fine. And walked for a very long time, and cars didn't go by because the typhoon had knocked a bunch of trees down into the road, and there were trees just like in the street. So there was no way for me to escape once I had entered the area because there were no cars passing. And I just remember getting to the end and being like, okay, I'm at a crossroads where cars are. God, I hope a car comes, because if not, I got to walk the entire way back, and it would have been a dramatic experience. So here I am, scooting past all of this that took me literally hours to walk past before in just minutes. And boy, do I love Scooty Puff Jr. I have rolled into a little onsen town. I know I've been here before, but I hardly remember it. And you know you're in an onsen town. You don't need to be able to read anything. You can smell it. It is extraordinarily pungent here. I can't believe people live here. I guess you just get used to it, right? Like, you don't smell your own farts or whatever, I guess. I don't know what the deal is. But it is very sulfuric. And if I recall, there's a mountain around here, Iozan, that I went to. It is probably the source of all this stink. I have arrived at the friendly shop. Is that more Comic Sans? God, I hope that's more Comic Sans. Basically everything inside of the old friendly shop required cooking apparatuses, which I don't have. So this is what I've ended up with. Some caramel corn. These things are actually pretty dope. Look at this package too, look at that. Some lemon honey drink. Some apple juice that I mostly just got because of the bird. I do think that there's this convenience store like in this little stinky neighborhood. I don't mean that badly. I mean, it's unique. It's its personality, right? But I mean, that's the definition. That's how you define it. You define this as a little stanky. Yeah, I was right. This is the mountain that I came to. That is a sulfur mountain up here on the right, and it is bustling out some stink. And you know what I remember? There was some dude here and some chick, and they were like taking pictures where she was flashing the camera. It's really awkward. Like, come to Fart Mountain and pop out a titty. Like, it didn't make any sense. But hey, man, it's probably somebody's OnlyFans or whatever. Let's get a quick look. See if there's any OnlyFans action going on here. Maybe I'll take out a titty. I wonder if I'm allowed to go in right now. Technically, I think this is closed right now, but maybe I'll slide back over here and take a look when I'm not worried about it raining on me. Doesn't look like there's any OnlyFans action right now, just the farts. We're apparently having some sort of supermoon right now at the end of August. And even behind the clouds, the moon does look fairly super at the moment. Alright, I'm in the tent. It's pretty nice actually. It's expensive, but the shower is quite nice. Bathrooms are quite nice. They're nearby. There's nobody else really around. The moon looks amazing outside. It's turning out to be okay. Kind of is a bummer that it's that far to go to get food. And the fact they don't have a microwave or a way to boil water here is a little bit of a frustration. But I guess it's not the end of the world. I ended up going a little buck wild at the convenience store. I got a lot of food. Because I mean, like, it's like an hour round trip to go get stuff from the convenience store. So I want to make sure that I don't have to make that trip just for breakfast. And I'm a little worried about what if it's really rainy tomorrow, because it's feasible that it could be really rainy tomorrow looking at the rain schedule. And if that's a thing, I don't really want to have to go back to the store. Like, I don't know if I bought enough food to get me all the way through tomorrow, but there's Gallery Mate. So anyway, the rest of the night, I just got to do data backups and all that fun stuff that I always do. But I do think I'm going to live stream it. So yeah, I'm going to be on Twitch here for a little bit, just hanging out and giving everybody an update. I haven't had a chance to live stream that much on this trip, but tonight looks like I have data and some downtime, and I'm not exhausted, which is part of the big thing. And there's nobody like around me, so I feel like I can talk and it's not going to annoy anybody. So to the internet, and like we always say, if you haven't followed us on Twitch, you should. It's a fun place to just hang out and interact in real time. It's a completely different platform, completely different feel, but it's pretty fun for us, and some people seem to enjoy watching it. Good night. But it's still kind of a cool view. But the view is still good. But the view is still, yeah, whatever. Oh my God, look at all the kids. Look at all the ducklings crossing the street. What are they doing? Are they practicing? I think they just might be practicing crossing the street. It's so adorable. Little hats and everything. Yeah. There's a teacher on each corner, and they're like having the kids practice going back and forth across the road. I'm gonna wear this mic in case the audio is pants. I don't know where I'm gonna wear it. Yeah. There we go. We'll put it there. I think that'll work. Sink. It's gonna rub on my neck. How can I look good and have a mic? Doesn't make sense. Just filming that video of that family shop. That's what it is. Oh, it feels so good. Oh, it's still recording.